Hello everybody, my name is Daniel and this is Stone Clone. I'm working here on an image, just playing around a little bit with the iray, and what I always like to do is making realistic car renders. I have especially this car here is my favorite one. I used it for Indigo, I used it for iClone, and once the PBR settings were available for iClone 7, I played around with that because it looked way more realistic and metallic. It looked actually great. So I converted practically pieces of this car here in PBR and played around with the maps. So you can see also the scene has a custom created EBL image, or HDR you may call it. It's created by the surroundings of the environment this car is currently in, and it creates a reflectivity in the car who resembles the surroundings and make it look more realistic. Now that we have the chance that I have the iray render plugin, for example, let's just go ahead and render this image here. Yeah, those settings are good, and I already have a test render here. Let's call this test 2. Test 2, and save it. Now this is how the car looks. Of course, there's some things here that doesn't look so well because something is overlapping here. The actual car looks actually pretty nice. It looks smooth, it looks metallic, and even got this reflection over here on the car. But this is what iClone gives you, and now I'm gonna show you what iray can do for you here in this case. And this is really spectacular. Let's go to our iray render plugin. I have it open here on the side, and we just click on down here on preview. Let's have a look. Okay, I got on my computer setup a GTX 1080 and a GTX 970 setup, and iray can actually use both of them for the CUDA cores and calculate the image. So it's starting now, and rendering is about to start. I hope my capture program doesn't get slowed down too much because it uses the GPU after all. So we're gonna wait a little bit. What you probably hear, the sound in the background, is the fan of my case making lots of noise. That happens because if the both graphics cards are starting rendering, this thing gets pretty loud and the temperatures get very high up. So here we go. What you see here is the car, the preview image of the car in iray. Doesn't that look great? You see, actually you can appreciate the reflection here all around, the same one you see in the original image, but only this time the image does not seem to like to capture very much the EBL, but you can actually enforce the EBL to make it even stronger. That is perfectly possible in the configuration of iray. The shadow is naturally spent underground the car. You can almost see nothing from underneath here. So I don't think the iray plugin is working very well with the actual we have the camera settings here. We can use them, the focus distance, the multiplayer. Right now the camera settings are used directly here. Got the camera selected. Those are my direct settings of the camera, and iray uses those settings for me. So you can use the focus, so the background is a little bit blur and the foreground is more clearly to see and appreciate what you're actually doing here. So in render mode here we got the high quality, and we got photoreal and max GI bounces. So you practically can crank up the GI. Sorry, my throat is a little bit dry today. So the global illumination is actually on here, on off. So let's see if we can GI mode, diffuse and specular. Ray trace high. Advanced, let's see. Reflection depth, yes, why not? Trace depth. Shadow depth, yeah, okay, why not? Working memory, 20%. Let's crank that up, I don't know, to 50. There we go. So those settings are in place. Alright. Let's see how the preview looks now. What I'm doing here right now is just play around a little bit with iray and see what comes out. I already made a couple of successful images with iray, and it's actually, I think it's the greatest plugin Revolution could ever add to iClone in order to improve the quality of the renderings of iClone so vastly. The only thing is, in order to really utilize iray, you really need a powerful graphics cards. So a GTX 1070, GTX 1080, even my GTX 1080 and my 970, it would take a while in order then you can make a video based on iray. It even does takes a long time because it renders photograms of image. It renders and finishes the rendering of one image, and every image by the frames you have, so you can make a video quickly. But otherwise I would not see the possibility to actually render a well enough video in iray in time before you even get frustrated. So it takes a lot of patience in order to work with iray, and even the rendering times are not the best. But if we take, like, for example, Indigo in comparison, we see that Indigo is practically, it's not working anymore. It's even today I don't think they update the actual render engine anymore because it's not good. It never was good. You can render with GPU, but if you use the CPU, it's the most render mode you use, but it's slow. It's really slow, and that is not performing very well. So it seems to me that yeah, this is starting a while here. Ah, there we are. Wow. Wow. Now we have GI on now. Can you see the reflectivity on the ground right now? Of the it's practically, the EBL image is stronger, and the GI is practically working here. I think you see way more of the car than it used to be before, and wow, well, that looks great. Yeah, but it takes a lot of effort for my CPUs, or GPUs, sorry, my graphics card, to even render that, and they are going like bananas right now. My main graphics card, yeah, that thing is hot. Really hot. Let's check the temperatures for a second here. Okay, my current temperature is about 61 degrees, so yeah, that's not that bad. I mean, I had to keep my case open because I have a tempered glass, but I put it out because really, iray and having two GPUs in my computer, it's really taking a toll on the heat. Even though I have 3 fans on front and 2 fans on back, it's still not enough. So yeah, the temperature is okay. I mean, can live with that right now. If it doesn't get over 70 degrees, I'm perfectly fine with that. So you see that rendering? That's just amazing. I'm gonna finish the rendering of this nice looking car here now, and this is the video for now. If you want me to try out things in iray and see settings, or even make a tutorial how to use iray properly in in iClone, just go ahead and ask me or give me a comment down below, and I sure will make a video about my knowledge, because I made a lot of images in DAS using iray, so I'm quite familiar with the program by itself, although in iClone it's a bit different. In order to configure the settings, they are a bit different, but not that much, so you can get really great effects like those, and it's just looking amazing. Okay, let's finish the preview here and let's render this actual. And before I end this video, I'm gonna show you how the rendering works. We have rendering scene here. Now this is our scene. As you can see here, you have the option to render an image sequence as an MP4 or just an image sequence. Image sequences are practically one image per frame if you have a video. For example, if I decide to move the camera slightly here, we have what we may call a video. So you can create an image sequence out of that video, and if you use a video editing program, you can put all those images together and create a video. Those image sequences you can also do in iClone as well. So iClone render image sequence and MP4. Practically it's the same, only this time the images are converted into an MP4 file, video format. So in this case you practically already have a video format and don't have to edit it in. So it uses the iClone export size, that's 1080 here, and you can change that to your custom size as well. But in this case I like that it uses the iClone size. It makes you work way easier. So BMW iClone set range army. Every time you make a render, iray creates a file, and you need to change the name of every time you render one thing. This one is BMW PNG, but it's perfect because I didn't save up before an image like that. Anyway, now let's go and render this. So I'm gonna wait until it starts rendering, and then I'm gonna stop the recording so the program will do its work in time. Let's wait a little bit so you can take a look how the iray render plugin works here. My current frame, as you can see up here in the memory here, is 1.4 gigabyte right now, using of my graphics capacity. And what I sadly don't like is, I understand that. Now this is how it looks like when you render in iray in iClone. So in hardware settings you can actually push that button here. I think you have the options. As you can see, you have CPU as well, but I unchecked the CPU mode because I don't want to stress out my processor. I have a 750 watt power supply. It's more than enough to perfectly handle 2 graphics cards and even my CPU. But I have an AMD FX, and it's an old processor, so it probably will overheat. Even though I am running on water, it can overheat up to 70-80 degrees perfectly. If you have a capable processor with a lot of threads and you think it might be useful, you can use the CPU as well as your graphics card in order to render. If you don't have a second graphic card like I have the GTX 1080 as main card and the GTX 970 as secondary card. And most of people who are using DAS, for example, for professional rendering, have more than one graphics card connected to their computer in order to help them to render. As you may know, NVIDIA iray uses the CUDA cores of the NVIDIA GPUs. CUDA core count depends on which fabrication of graphics card you may use. For example, the 1080 has over 2000 and I don't remember, but it's over 2000 CUDA cores. I cannot tell you now the exact size, but for example, the 970 has over 1500 or 600 CUDA cores, and that had over 2000 CUDA cores. and if you go up further to the RTX 2080 Ti, you have over 4,000, almost 5,000 CUDA cores, and the count of the CUDA cores makes the rendering quicker for you and the quality way better. So if you use more graphics card with way more CUDA counts, it's very important that you check that. The quality of your render can increase, and the time it takes in order to calculate the image can decrease. Anyways, I'm gonna stop this video now. I'm gonna let this here finish rendering. As I say, if you have a good CPU and are sure that it won't overheat by stressing it out in NVIDIA, you can activate this and let the CPU render. But as I further say or state, NVIDIA iray is made for graphics cards. It's not made for GPU renderings. Although a GPU can assist in that fact, it will never be able to make the same work than your graphics card. So if you can afford and don't really need the CPU power as well, also using the CPU and stressing it out, you can here, for example, decide how much threads it uses, and that is very useful. But for example, if you use all 8, then you probably will freeze your whole Windows and your whole computer and cannot interact with it anymore because the CPU is stressed out the maximum. If you decide to just use 2 or 4 threads, or half of what the threads you have, so you only utilize a couple of cores or threads in this case you have on your processor, meaning is you can still use your computer while you're rendering. So that's a pro. For example, if you have like an Xeon or a Threadripper or an Intel i9 with, I don't know, 12 cores, then you can perfectly use this in order to help you render these images, and it should be a very good assistance to it. But if you have a normal desktop computer with a 4-core or an 8-core processor or less, you shouldn't stress it out too much. Also, never get maximum thread so you can't use it anymore. That's my personal opinion in this case. So I'm gonna finish this video now. Thank you very much for watching. That was a short one, and I hope it gives you a bit of overview how the iray plugin is working for me, especially right now, just playing around here. See you in the next video. Bye. Well, I'm not done yet. I thought I was done, but then I told myself, how about I try making actually a video using NVIDIA iray. So I started to put up a camera and started to make this small scene here. Here you go, that's all I made. And I put the image quality here in 720p, export size normal, frames normal, and say, how about we make a video here in iray. I think it took at least 1 hour to render this video using both of my graphics cards, and what it did actually is I used iClone for render image sequence MP4, although I didn't got an MP4 here, I don't know why. I got this image sequence here, and when you open the image and scroll forward, you can see it slowly moves. So what to do with this now? You can convert this into a video. So there's a easy way to do it actually. It is go directly to Photoshop. I have Photoshop CC here. It is probably the latest version, I don't know. And I got this is my timeline here. Only thing I got to do here really is because Photoshop have the capability of importing and converting images into an image sequence and converting that into a video, just by opening and selecting only one of those images, the first one, and then in options normally I have a window down here that says Secuencia de Imágenes in Spanish. That means image sequence. I tap that one, and then I click on open. Now it asks me the frames I rendered it, and you should remember that, of course, when you have your render scene, you see our frame rate is 30. So make sure if you do that to have select 30 frames here, and then click OK. And now the timeline is here, but the timeline can be appearing like this and you don't know where it is. So down here should be a button who says timeline. You click it and now you see your sequence here. It created here like a video. You can actually reproduce this here. Let's close this here and click here. Here you go. That is the iray video I rendered. Now let's go ahead and export this video, and I'm gonna add it into the end of this tutorial here, and that's it. Let me pause for a second. Okay, let's I had to figure out how to export a, let's see, export interpret the video, probably that one. Let's see. Okay, it's initializing the exportation of a video. Okay, there we got it. Quality high, 720p, format HS250, QuickTime. Okay, we're gonna leave it in this format. And title iray test render. Great. And it's gonna be directly imported in the actual file where I saved up the BMW video, so it's perfect. The photograms are all OpenGL. Quality 3D. Let's try OpenGL Interactive. Let's see, can we actually use yeah, I guess that's all here. Okay, let's try to render this. Okay, it's actually rendering the video. Is it done? Don't know, have to check. Give me a second. I'm gonna check now if the video is rendered. So I think it's done. Here you go. This is a ray traced iray video in 720p, made in iClone. Okay, there you go. Now you know how to make videos in iray, or practically using iClone, rendering an image sequence in iray. So you can practically make whole animations like this using Photoshop as help. So Photoshop is not the only program who gives you the possibility to actually render image sequences. There's other video editing programs like Premiere Pro, probably what's that called? It was before called Sony Vegas, and now it's called just Vegas Pro. That's the one I have. But Photoshop makes it way easier for me to actually make those image sequences work. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this video here. Bye. See you in the next video.